Hello everyone, so we're going to look at some of the most recent polls, we're going to look at some history from 2012, and then we are going to look at the current charts as we head into Election Day this coming Tuesday. Before I get into it, if you are interested in this sector and have not seen my 2-hour webinar I did a couple of weeks ago, hop on over to my YouTube channel and check it out. There's a separate playlist for MJ stocks. I really think there's a lot of information that anybody playing this sector needs to watch. Aside from that, we're going to be making a website over the next couple of months specifically for fundamental and technical analysis of legitimate marijuana plays, digging into financials, and posting some videos there to be watched. And I just want to let you know so you can keep a lookout for it. I'll certainly let you know when that is up and running. But I'm looking forward to creating a really nice informational website that a lot of people can utilize for some informed decision making with this sector as it continues to develop. So getting an update of the polls here on the weekend heading into the election this Tuesday. Not much has changed. There have been a couple updates. Massachusetts 49 to 42. It is tightening a little bit. The most recent polls show a decrease in the spread between pass and fail. We've got Arizona. It's still leading, although there was one poll where Arizona was losing by a point. So I would say Arizona is the most up in the air out of the 5 recreational states because it's the only one with a fairly recent poll that does show it losing. Nevada's still winning. No update there from the last video I did. California looks like a sure thing. It would be very bearish if California were not to pass because I believe it is being priced in to pass, and we've got Maine passing as well. Florida looks like a sure thing. So what I am seeing is that all of the bullish reaction is or should likely be factored in to these names at this point. The only thing that I could see leading to a bullish reaction the days right after the election would be if we get a clean sweep of all 5 and the media really jumps all over that. That is a possibility, but the way that these polls are set up, there can really only be disappointment because they are showing a win in every major ballot decision, and if any of them weren't to win, that would just lead to some disappointment and some likely sell the news event. So let's look back at history now. Let's look back at some of these original names. This is going to be looking at October, November, December, January, February of 2012 and 2013. The vote where Colorado and Washington passed was on November 6th. So let's look at the reaction that occurred, and out of these names, there's going to be every kind of different reaction that you could anticipate. So it's not really going to help us much with the sector overall. What it is telling us that it's really going to be individual on a per name basis on what to expect. So here on November 6th, we had MJNA, a little bit of a pop the next day, very lackluster, and then led to a 4-day sell-off. Then we traded sideways for about 3 months, and the bulls showed back up in the new year. In late January and early February, another breakout occurred. But the point is, after the election, very little sign of the bulls for the next few months on MJNA. You look at hemp, look at the run-up into the election. Here's the vote on the 6th, and on the 7th, gap up open, sell into the gap, no real bull movement, bears in control for 3 months, and then the bulls start showing back up. End of January, start of February, same thing as MJNA. We've got GRNH. Here's a different reaction. We had a little sell-off into the vote. Then the day after the vote, the bulls started to show up, and we did get a strong move right out of the gate, but same thing, traded sideways for 3 months, and then the bulls showed up again in early February. PHOT, leading up into the vote, no reaction for the bulls the next 5 days. Then the bulls showed up out of nowhere for 2 days, but same thing, sideways trading before the bulls showed up in February. And one more here, CBIS. CBIS is the only one that ran after the election. There's the results and a breakout for multiple days, but after the breakout, sideways trading for 3 months before the spike in February. So what this does tell us is the majority of the stocks did not see a breakout following the vote. We had one that did, CBIS, but the main point is it was essentially dead money for the next 3 months. Tighter ranges, tighter and tighter, no real movement to the upside. There were some trading ranges that you could play back and forth, but the 3 months following the election in 2012, the bulls disappeared, and they didn't show back up again until February. So like I said, some individual names will likely see a rally after the vote, but I would say on the whole, the sector will consolidate as the hype is being priced in before the vote ever occurs. That's just an opinion. We'll see how it plays out. I could be dead wrong. I could be right on the money. Either way, It will be very interesting on Tuesday. Now let's get looking at some of the charts. Today we're going to be looking at MJNA CBIS HEMP AMMJ and GRNH on the daily and weekly timeframes. So MJNA had a big run, and we are seeing big time volume pour into this name. Look at on Thursday and Friday. 178 million shares traded. The range was about 14 to 26 cents. Let's say the average was 20 cents. So we are looking at over $30 million traded. That is big money. That's more than retail, and that is worth noting. MJNA has been the sector leader in terms of the penny stock world since I've been watching the sector in 2010, and it still does appear to be the case, and you cannot argue against that big money. That is very significant. Now, let's look at the action. We had the huge breakout 4 days in a row, and this is where knowing technical analysis, the candlestick shapes, and the chart patterns really take a big or give you a significant advantage. So what we have here is a 3 gap up bearish reversal pattern. We had a gap up open 1, 2, 3 days in a row. That signals the bulls are tiring themselves to the upside, getting overextended. And the 4th day when you get, or make it the 5th day, when you get that red candlestick, this confirms the bearish 3 gap up reversal pattern. So we ended up getting all the way to 268. And we started the breakout over 100% move in 5 days. Big time gains to be had, and you can see profit taking being locked in. Bearish reversal engulfing candlestick after the 3 gap up pattern on huge volume is a red flag. And look at the dump that followed. We went from 268 down to 10 cents in 2 days. So there are a lot of bag holders now. Anybody that bought anywhere above 13 cents over the past 3 days is now in the red. So we did get a long lower wick bouncing off that psychological 10 cent level. The middle Bollinger Band is at 10.7. That acted as support as well. And it's big time volume. A lot of the volume on Friday can be attributed to the bulls because of the size of the long lower wick. But you see on Thursday, the majority of that volume belongs to the bears due to the lack of the lower wick. And that was significant volume. So profit taking is beginning to occur. We have one more trading day until the election day, 2 more trading days until we get all the results. And as long as the bulls hold the middle Bollinger Band on the daily time frame, they are in control of the trend. But obviously, you don't want to be buying in here and getting trapped with a very quick, anybody that bought over 20 cents on Wednesday or Thursday very quickly lost 25 to 40% of their investment or trade. So again, stop losses, exit plans are extremely key. There's nothing wrong with getting out the same day that you got in if the trade is not going your way. Big bearish reversal candlestick on the weekly time frame. Huge upper wick showing profit taking. We did backtest and hold the 200-week moving average and the upper Bollinger Band remaining in breakout mode. But if we see a red week this coming week, which in my opinion I believe we will, it will confirm this bearish reversal candlestick, and we will likely lose the upper Bollinger Band support. So it all depends on the reaction to the vote, obviously, and the fact that we are cooling off a little bit before the vote could lead to a little bit of a bullish reaction. Again, I think the leading days into the vote will be important. As we just looked at back at history, the names that ran and were very strong into the vote saw a pullback, and a couple names that saw a pullback into the vote did see another bull move after the vote. CBIS has been consolidating now for quite some time, for a couple weeks, and we have a tightening pattern forming. So here's our high at 7.7. Here's our low at 0.358. That's our range. Now we have a lower high at 7.07, and now we'll look for the bulls to form a higher low. They need to maintain the middle Bollinger Band support. They bounced just above it last time. The lower wick on Friday does show the bulls buying the dip, defending the 10-day moving average support. The low on Friday was 0.051, so maybe that's going to be our higher low. If we lose the middle Bollinger Band, it's bearish, and we're looking back down in the 3-cent range. If we break the high of Thursday, 7.07, it is bullish, and we're looking back at the high of this move, 0.077. But the bulls are going to have to show up with some significant volume in order to get back to that level. You can see volume is tapering off, and that is a common theme when you see a stock range consolidating and tightening after a big breakout move. The volume decreases with it, and eventually you see a volume spike with the break of that tightening pattern. Weekly time frame for CBIS, upper wick showing clear resistance. We have been unable to close above 6 cents on the weekly time frame. So that is a psychological weekly resistance. We are still holding the 200 week and the upper Bollinger Band still in breakout mode here. And the red flag will be for these names if they lose the weekly upper Bollinger Band. We will look for further consolidation. So that's an important support level to update first thing on Monday on the weekly charts and see where those levels stand and see if the bulls are going to be able to hold on to those supports. Hemp has been extremely weak compared to all the other names, and in my opinion, that is due to their share structure and debt structure. It is not attractive. I need to dig more into those financials in depth to get the specifics, but even just the price action tells me that. Huge volume coming in, and seeing a couple $1 million traded. Again, it's nowhere near MJNA volume. We can see this biggest volume we've seen was 88 million, and let's assume the average stock price was 5 cents. That's about in the range of that day. So 5 cents at 88 million, that's less than $5 million traded, about $4 million traded, nowhere near the $20 million seen in MJNA. So we did see a little bull move, but it's not nearly the gains that we've been seeing in those other names. So now we have a tightening pattern forming here as well. It's very similar, and I'm going to zoom in here to cut out that candlestick that's kind of ruining this chart here, make it a bit more clear. So a very similar pattern, CBIS, lower high, and now trying to form a higher low. And we look at hemp, there's our high, higher low, lower high, higher low. Hemp is even tighter than CBIS currently is. A break of 3.6 will be bearish. A break of 3.45 will be even more bearish because that will break and we will see a lower high and a lower low if we break 3.045. And the bulls need to see a move back over 5 cents and ideally a close over 5 cents to be looking at the recent high 5.6. So a very clear tightening pattern is forming, but we're not seeing the explosive kind of moves in a lot of other names here. And I think the size of the share structure and perhaps some people exiting their shares, keep in mind hemp had a reverse split and hemp has been in a wicked downtrend since 2014. There are tons of investors in the hole in this name. And you can see we've been going down from essentially 30 cents, or let's even zoom out here. It was higher than that because of the reverse split. Let's look at 2014. So 340, and here we are at 4 cents. Anybody buying shares between 2014 and 2000 and halfway through 2016 is in the red in hemp. They are looking to exit, and any little pop is going to see that overhead of shares, an oversupply of shares trying to exit. So that is why hemp is struggling to see upside. That alone would have me not trading hemp. And again, it's the share structure that matters. I know the fundamentals don't hit me with all that because I know they're building a plant and it's going to be great. But if the company's share structure and debt structure is not beneficial to shareholders, it doesn't matter what the company is doing. It doesn't matter what their products are doing. It is a bearish overhang on the whole. And this reverse split is definitely weighing long-term on hemp. And it's not a name you want to be long in my opinion, for that reason alone. I know they're making strides as a company, that those videos of the plant look great, but the share structure is more important than that. AMMJ, look at this bull move. Very strong. Higher lows and higher highs, nice consolidation, building bases on the way. We did consolidate at the end of the week after a breakout. Bulls bought the dip in a big way on Friday. Increase in volume. You look at these candlesticks and you say, uh-oh, a big red increase. Look at the red increase, but nope. Look at the candlestick shape. A lot of that is a lower wick. Vast majority of that volume tells me the bulls bought that dip and closed it up near the high of the day. That's a bullish candlestick holding the 10-day moving average support of 130. We built a new base of support now at 111. So if we break 111, that will be a bit of a red flag that we are losing ground in terms of maintaining the higher low uptrend. We've got resistance now up at $2 psychological and 205, the high of this move. And the weekly chart still in full-on breakout mode. Look at that big spike in volume. Volume began to taper off, and that was a bit of a red flag. Maybe the bulls are tiring and putting that fear to rest here. We want to be very aware that the RSI is 95 and extremely overbought. But in breakout mode, these bulls are in full control. And this is what kind of chart you want to be trading. You look at hemp, and hemp has seen less than 100% move. And you look at this name, and we've got a 1,500% move, 2,000% move over the same period of time. So this is a beneficial share structure, big volume coming in, and we are very close to blue sky breakout mode. We did get it, but we did see some profit taking from that level as soon as we broke 189, and we were seeing trading back here in the $2 range, but that was before there was any volume in this name. So we're pretty much in blue sky breakout mode, just aware that consolidation can occur on this weekly time frame, as we've essentially been going straight up for 3 months. So this is a kind of name that's great for trading. Lots of liquidity, lots of volatility, and let's see that volume. 5 million shares traded at a rough price. We're seeing $7.5 million roughly. That's just very quick off the top of the head math. But some decent volume is coming in, and there's great trading opportunities. We just want to have stop losses and game plans in place in case we do see some profit taking on the weekly chart after this huge breakout. Last, we've got GRNH, also a tightening pattern. Little bit of a red flag on Friday because you see that big bear volume and you don't see much of a lower wick. So a lot of that was selling. So we pulled back and established a base at 8.6, lower high at 13.7. And now the bulls want this to be the higher low, 8.8. If we break 8.6, it's a red flag because we will have a lower high and a lower low and continuation of the pullback. The weekly time frame, bearish reversal candlestick last week, losing the 200-week moving average support. Attempt to get back over that level this week. Back test failed. Rejection again from that level. That level is 10.6, the 200-week moving average. And the range is getting tighter. It's an inside candlestick, which means the range of this candlestick fits completely within the range of last candlestick. And this next week, if we were to see a break of the low of last week's candlestick, we can assume it's going to be a bearish week. And if we break the high, we can assume it's going to be a bullish week. So some profit taking coming in on GRNH. AMMJ out of these 5 is the strongest, still in breakout mode with the bulls buying the dip in a big way Friday. And we've got GRNH, hemp, CBIS, all in that tightening pattern, lower highs, higher lows, going to see a clear break over the next week or two. And then we've got MJNA, big time consolidation after a big time breakout. Bulls really want to see a recovery back into the low or the upper teens early this coming week. So that's the way it's all breaking down heading into the vote. And it's going to be a very interesting week. But again, history is our friend, and have the exit plans in place. We'll be back in touch after the vote, after the 7th, the 8th, excuse me, getting all my dates screwed up. After Tuesday, we'll be back to check in how it all plays out. I appreciate you watching. Again, check out that webinar if you haven't seen it yet, and keep an eye out for that website we will have in development before the new year.